It was the hour before the gods awake. Savitri opens with this most mysterious line. In terms of its construction, in terms of English, there is nothing complicated in it. It is an end-stopped line, single line, a perfect pentametric line. It was the hour before the gods awake. But this line came not right at the beginning. It came much later. In fact, it started appearing in the second phase of composition of Savitri. Second phase, early 1930s, over a period of decade or so, roughly. And the third version, the third draft of Savitri had the following lines. It was an hour before the transfiguring gods. The huge unbound spirit of night, alone in her unlit temple of immensity, waited immobile upon silence march. The present construction of this passage is quite different, and one can see the difference also in the quality of poetry. The first five lines are: It was the hour before the gods awake. Across the path of the divine event, the huge foreboding mind of night, alone in her unlit temple of eternity, lay stretched immobile upon silence march. Basically, the idea is there, but the form, the final form which it has taken here is something which is very gripping, very powerful. The huge unbound spirit of night has become the huge foreboding mind of night. The occult content has immediately increased. The fifth version had the opening line, an hour was near of the transfiguring gods. The sixth, it was the hush of a transfiguring hour. The gods are not present here. It was the hush of a transfiguring hour. And the seventh, it was the hour before the gods awake. So we can say that more or less it is in the seventh version with after two corrections in the earlier drafts that this opening line appears for the first time. It was the hour before the gods awake. Now, if you see the alternatives, the huge unbound spirit of night alone in her unlit temple of immensity waited immobile upon silence march. Basically, the whole idea is an hour was near of the transfiguring gods, but it was not really yet so. It was the hush of a transfiguring hour. So, what the poet, what the yogi is really conveying, if you can grasp it, is the silence, the hush, the stillness, the immobility of the entire creation before things started happening. The things started happening when the gods awake. Things start happening when the gods awake. The gods are not yet awake. They will become awake and then things will start happening. Now, what are that hush before the gods awake? It is the state of, one might say, non-creation. Nothing existed there. The gods had not yet come to initiate any activity. It will happen later on. But here we have in fact a kind of a fathomless zero in which nothing is happening here. And it is in that fathomless zero something plunged. And then things began. A power of fallen, boundless self, power of fallen, boundless self saw its opposite, the void, the non-being, and along with that, self arose the power also. When the power arose, then the thing started happening here. Now, before this thing could be, we can say that this fallen self, this boundless self, this foreign power, this zero hour, this hush, correspond to what the mother would call the separation of the divine powers from their source, from the origin. She speaks of this she speaks of the story of creation. And the story of creation begins with the separation of four powers from their origin, from their source, from the divine himself, so to say. The four powers are consciousness, bliss, truth, life. Consciousness went so far away from its source that it became unconscious. It became unconsciousness. Bliss turned into suffering. Truth became falsehood. And life met death. Life turned into death. They became their opposites. Consciousness became unconsciousness. Bliss became suffering. Truth became falsehood. Life became death. Now, when this horror of separation was seen, then something happened. Actually, the separation of consciousness, bliss, truth, life started happening when the four powers came down to the vital level. At the vital level, they sort of started losing their contact with the divine source, and immediately after that, they became their opposites. When this horror of separation was seen, at once a kind of a decision was taken to repair the mistake that had taken place. This is a way of telling in the manner of a story. So to repair the mistake, some action was initiated, and that action was what we have in the process of sending another set of emanations. When this was seen, it was decided that the second emanation would be made to repair the mistake of the first emanations. Four powers, consciousness, bliss, truth, life, when they went away, To repair that mistake, another set of emanations was made. This is what the mother says. When this was seen, it was decided that the second emanations would be made to repair the mistake of the first. And these second emanations, these were the gods. The second emanations were the gods. So there was a hush, there was a separation, there was the horror of going away from the divine, and the divine dynamic force plunged in the manner of a holocaust into this void, and then the four powers, the mistake which was made, so to say, was corrected by sending another set of emanations, and that set of emanations is the gods. And that is what happens when the creation now can begin. It was the hour before the gods awake. This is what had happened before the gods came into picture. That the separation was there, unconsciousness, suffering, falsehood, death, and that had to be corrected. It is only by correcting it that a new process could be set into motion. That is what the first line conveys. It was the hour before the gods awake.